Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Felice Gersh, and I am so happy to join you here this evening to talk about a very fun topic. So we're going to start in, about maybe 4 minutes. In the interim, I'd like to just let you know some of the things that will be coming up on ZubiaLive. On March 30th, I'll be doing another talk. This time, it'll be on fabulous fiber for wonderful health. And I'm going to talk about the most intriguing topic ever, which is all about fiber and what it does to sustain your gut microbiome. And basically everything about you is dependent on those little critters. So we'll be talking about that. We have a lot of other amazing talks coming up on ZubiaLive. So please be sure and check the schedule. I know that this month, as you know, is all about nutrition. And so there's a lot of wonderful talks to enable you to eat wonderfully delicious food and maintain a wonderfully healthy body. So for tonight, we're going to be talking about something that I'm sure at least all of the women, I'm not sure about the men because I deal so much more with women patients. Just as a little background on myself, I am one of a sort of a rare breed. I'm an integrative gynecologist. What that means is I care for women in the broad sense of the word. I don't just care about them for their pelvic health. I take care of them for their heart health, for their immune health, for their emotional and brain health, and so forth. And I did the 2-year fellowship in integrative medicine at the University of Arizona School of Medicine. And so I just have a very enhanced toolbox because I utilize all the different lifestyle treatments along with various nutraceuticals and look at the entire spectrum of things that affect human health. In terms of health, what could be more important than what you put in your mouth? After all, every cliche is turning out to be true. You certainly are what you eat. Every cell in your body needs an amazing array of nutrients, macro and micronutrients. So what happens when you go on one of these fad diets? I'm sure we've all heard so many different types of fad diets. I know I've tried a few in my life, and I thought this would be a good topic to kind of bring up because they come up all the time, and often they even become best-selling books and are very popular. So I'm going to bring up a couple and just talk about some of the high and low points of such diets. One of the ones that is really trending now, big time, is what is called the ketogenic diet. So what does that mean? It means that the vast majority of what you eat is composed of fat. Now, as you may know, fat was maligned for many, many years, and people were told, don't eat fat, everything should be non-fat, low fat. And of course, that was wrong because fat is essential to life. There are such things called essential fatty acids. They're essential to be alive. If you eat no fat, truly eat no fat, you will die. So these are things that the body cannot manufacture. You need fatty acids in order to maintain the structures of your cell and your brain. So these are not optional things. But do you really want a diet that's composed very, very largely of fat? The theory behind a ketogenic diet is that the brain can use fat as an energy source, and you want to keep sugar down, and cancer cells like sugar as an energy source. But the reality is that the preferred energy for the brain is actually glucose. But like in all things, you want things to be properly balanced. You don't want to eat a diet that's high in sugar because that will put you in a metabolic chaos state. So you don't necessarily really want to eat a diet that's all fat either. This going from one extreme to the other is really not the way that health is maintained. So if you do eat a very high fat diet and you become ketogenic, meaning that you're using ketone bodies or breakdown bodies from fat as your main energy source for all the cells in your body, you actually may lose weight. And that's good, but you can actually lose weight on virtually any diet. And as we talk about the other fad diets, you'll see any diet, if you have low enough calories, will enable you to lose weight. And a lot of people do actually eat fewer calories on a ketogenic diet because there's so few foods to really choose from. Some of the people on a ketogenic diet have a cup of coffee and a big wad of butter melted in it, and that's their breakfast. And some people have joked about they go to a restaurant and they say, hold the bread, just give me all the butter. And that really isn't giving your body what it needs. In fact, if you eat a diet that's really high in fat and at the exclusion of lots of vegetables, your gut bacteria, what we call the microbiome, will truly suffer. So unless you fit a very small category of people, for example, people who have a type of brain cancer called glioblastoma, or if you have a child who has intractable seizures because they're genetically like misprogrammed and they can't transport sugar, glucose into the brain as an energy source, those are the kinds of people, as well as people who have very significant Alzheimer's disease, because they also have trouble transporting sugar into the brain. So there are special populations that actually do benefit, at least short term, from ketogenic diets. But for the general population, that would not be the diet of choice. So please do not choose that. Another type of diet that has been popularized is called the raw food diet. Now, with the raw food diet, as you might well imagine, everything you eat must be raw. Now, the theory behind that is that if you eat plants that are not cooked, you will get the full nutrient value as well as the enzymes that are within the plants. And in reality, there is a lot of benefit to this. And if people want to do a raw foods diet, I would definitely support them. But it's very hard to live on a raw foods diet. And as well, most people who do a raw foods diet are predominantly vegan, although you don't have to be, because people do eat some raw meats, raw eggs, and raw fish like sushi, if they're very high quality. But in general, a lot of the people who do the raw food diet are vegans and often will get some nutrient deficiencies like iron deficiency and B12 deficiency. So if you do a diet like that, you have to watch out, check nutrients, and usually use some form of supplementation. But there is really some value to eating raw foods. I do encourage all of my patients to eat a lot of vegetables, like 5 to 6 cups a day. It's really amazingly beneficial to eat a very high quantity of vegetables for many reasons, for the polyphenols, for the fiber, which we'll touch on next week. But you really do get enzymes that are very important for your health from the vegetables, which can get broken down if you cook them in high heat. And so when you do cook vegetables, try to cook them lightly, cut them and let them actually stand out for about 45 minutes before you cook them. That actually makes them healthy. So the raw food diet, although it's something of a fad diet, is really actually pretty healthy, and you could live on that, but I don't really encourage people to eat everything raw. I think we can have a little bit of cooked food and have a little bit more variety, because it really gets very challenging to eat all your food raw and make it interesting. Another diet that has been sort of pretty popularized is called the Master Cleanse diet. Now, that actually also isn't too bad if you do it short term. It consists of a special form of lemonade where you take lemon juice and you mix it with cayenne pepper and organic maple syrup. And you just drink like 6 to 10 glasses of this drink every day. Like any kind of very low calorie or very restrictive diet, if you do it for a very short period of time, it's almost like a fast. It actually can be beneficial, but you would never want to do a diet like this Master Cleanse diet for more than, I would say, 4 to 5 days maximum. So please don't do this as something that you would do for a long period of time. You will lose some weight, and you may lose actually quite a bit of water weight. So if you tend to get swollen ankles and retain fluid, this may actually make you feel better. So this is something of a fad diet that also can be okay. But if you're unhealthy, if you have metabolic dysfunction, if you're diabetic, if you have hypertension, please don't do this kind of a diet unsupervised. This is really predominantly for people who are generally healthy and aren't on any medications. Another popular fad diet is called Eat for Your Blood Type. Now, this diet I do not recommend at all because there is no science behind it. There is actually a whole new form of science that's evolving that is nutrigenomic and actually eating for your genetic type. And I actually do some testing along these lines, but the blood type Well, I mean, it was a good idea. It just turned out not to pan out. So please do not worry about what your blood type is and think that you have to eat according to a particular diet. There are some people, that's interesting, they actually do have some genetic situations where they have a certain type of SNP, which is called a single nucleotide polymorphism, which actually does not really enable them to detoxify and get rid of sulfur very well. And that's called the CBS gene. And if you have two mutant or variants of that particular gene, you do have some trouble getting the sulfur out of your body. And sulfur is very, very important for health. And some of these sulfur-containing vegetables are things like garlic and onions and broccoli, very healthy. But if you have a problem, if you get kind of stuffy, you have a lot of like histamine, you kind of tend to get allergies, you might want to get tested for that. And that's part of the new world of nutrigenomics, where for those people, sometimes actually cutting back on those particular type of sulfur-containing vegetables can be helpful. So the eating for your blood type was a good idea, but did not really work out. So please pass on that one. Another diet that has been popularized as a fad diet is the baby food diet. In this diet, you're supposed to eat breakfast and lunch just of jarred baby food. I can imagine why you would lose weight, because this is really geared towards weight loss, because who wants to open up and eat a whole bunch of jars of baby food? So I would pass on this one as well. I don't think that this is one that is going to actually be very suitable for most people. And can you imagine driving around and going to work carrying 6 or 7 jars of little baby food to eat for your lunch? So, I'd rather you choose something else, like maybe have a salad. That would be good. Or maybe some nuts and a piece of fruit if you want to have a light lunch. But forget the baby food. Why don't you just pass on that particular diet? Another type of diet that has been popularized is the cabbage diet, where all you eat is cabbage soup. Now, this is like a lot of fad diets where you just pick one food, you say it's magical. This is like a magical food. They've done it with the grapefruit diet, right? So you have cabbage or you have grapefruit, and you only eat one type of food because that food is magical. Like if you eat grapefruit, you'll lose weight because it takes more calories to digest it. Or cabbage has some miraculous properties. And cabbage is, by the way, a cruciferous vegetable, and it does have magical properties, but you don't want to eat one thing. Now, you will lose weight because it's going to get very boring if you eat one thing. And as well, these are not foods that have very many calories. So this will also help you lose weight. But I do not encourage you to do a cabbage diet where all you eat is cabbage soup or raw cabbage, or you do grapefruits where all you eat is grapefruits. So any of the fad diets where you eat one food and you just eat it repetitively, just pass on those. Okay, that's not the way to get really healthy. Another type of diet is called the 5-bite diet. The 5-bite diet lets you eat pretty much anything you want for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but you only get 5 bites. So they figure how much bad can happen if all you take is 5 bites. The thing is that that's not giving you a great selection. You're certainly not going to get enough nutrients. You need to eat a lot of vegetables. I just told you have to eat at least 5 cups, even 6 cups of vegetables a day. So 5 bites isn't going to get you anywhere. If your goal is to fit in a dress because you're going to some reunion or you're going to a wedding or something or other where all you want to do is lose weight, you don't want to be healthy, you're not trying to look at the big picture, you're not looking at what you're going to be like in a year, you just have a goal. You want to do a weigh-in or you want to lose weight to fit in a dress, then of course any type of diet is going to work where you hardly eat anything. But that is losing sight of the big picture of why we eat. Remember, food is essential for life. So I just wanted to repeat a few of my, what I call them Dr. Gersh's laws of eating. Number 1, everything you eat, you should enjoy. Okay, food is wonderful. It should be one of the greatest pleasures of life is to eat delicious, wonderful food. Number 2, everything you eat should be good for you because food is not for recreational use only, okay? If you are eating things like cheese puffs and soda and candy, there is no good nutritional value in those foods. So they do not fit under Dr. Gersh's law as something that you can consume. You must eat lots of vegetables from the colors of the rainbow because you have to support the healthy gut microbiome and because you have amazing things in these fruits and vegetables, these things called polyphenols, these phytonutrients that actually can act as hormones on your cells and deliver incredible messages and keep your cells really happy and healthy. So with that, I'd like to end and let you know that you can text me messages and questions, and I will be speaking again to you on the 30th of March. And any questions I will address at that time. So I hope you'll all join me and come back at my next little live session with ZubiaLive on March 30th, when I will talk about fabulous fiber and how to eat it, enjoy it, love it, and be the healthiest person you can possibly be. And have a wonderful night, and I'll see you then.